Stop. Stop for just a second. Take a moment, close your eyes, and breathe. There's a lot going on, maybe too much. And it may be more than what you can handle. But now is your time to just stop. Breathe. Take it in. Let yourself be filled so that you can then take your moment. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third-generation minister, international best-selling author of over 38 and counting books, and I've helped just shy of 5,000 people write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond. My camera is fuzzy today. Sorry about that. Let's try wiping it with a Kleenex and see if that does something. One way or another, we've got furriness. That's fun. Nope, we're just furry. Okay, whatever. Welcome to Furry World. Not that kind. I'm here today to be with you, to talk to you, and to share you. This isn't another live. It isn't another power-packed, jam-packed, let's just rah you right out of your socks. I want to meet you right where you are right now today, in total, absolute, transparent honesty, so that you can know that you're not alone. See, the truth of the matter is that everybody that I know really that's doing good in the world, intentionally, I thought of a couple exceptions to that, but for the most part, the good people that I know are working really, really hard and have very little to show for it. The reason why I paused there for a second is I do have a few friends that I believe are really good people that had some things built previously to this, and they're experiencing success. But I even know a lot of them would be the first ones to tell you that our funnels, as far as sales go, have moved from something that's like 2 or 3 days, even often, immediate turnaround, to something that is like a 30, 60, 90-day sales funnel. I mean, that's huge. When you go from a one call close, you do a live, you get on the phone with somebody, something, and you end up at the end of that close with money in the bank, versus you do a call, you do a follow-up call, you do some follow-up emails, you do some more, and you do that for 90 days, and then you end up with money in the bank. It's really easy to get discouraged, and I get that. And that's why I've tried really, really hard in all the lives I've been doing to you to give you some really not necessarily fun, but real statistical review of where you should expect to be when you start being clear, consistent in your connection. And I'm talking about specifically in going live on a daily basis and really pouring the clear, real you out there. You're going to have days where you're going to be like, I was just so on fire. I had one of those. That was Friday or Saturday. I don't remember which one of them. It might have been both of them, honestly. You have days like my Sunday was where you go deep with people. And you have days like yesterday, and we're kind of still in that same place today, where everything that's going on all comes together into this one really awful thing known as not really getting a lot of good sleep, and a lot of reality. And that's not to say that God isn't showing up powerfully in your world and that there aren't amazing things happening to you. But the truth of the matter is that just like me, you may not feel certainty today. You may not feel like you're enough. I'll just tell you really, truly, honestly, I'm committed to coming here and to being the lead for you. You lead people, you manage things, and to show you by example, this is what you need to do every day. And just to do it, not because I woke up this morning or I spent all morning this morning going, and I have that some days. I have some days where I'm like, sitting here chomping at the bit, just waiting for the noon hour Central Time because I want to come live to you. Today is not one of those days. My energy level, you can feel it, you can sense it, you can feel the compassion, I hope, in what I'm saying, but you can also feel the energy that, and where it is on that barometer, if you will. It's kind of like humidity. Sometimes it's really hot and humid and spicy, and other times it's kind of cool and, and it's really awful when it's cool and humid because then you just get yucky clamminess, but that's a whole different story. But what you do is you show up. See, the reason why I showed up is number one, because I care about you. I want to see you succeed, and I know that you need to be clear, consistent, and connect with the people that you're meant to serve. Even if it's just one person, you absolutely have to have that. And I know that my job, with all the things that I could do and all the things that I have done, what I'm really supposed to just do is just be here to encourage you to be consistent and clear to you that if you want to be visible, you've got to be visible. And the only way to be visible is to be where people can view you. We've got to stop getting hung up on, I really have gotten to the place where I really kind of hate all of the social media statistics. Because depending on which one you're looking at, they can give you all kinds of different feelings about things. I'll give you a perfect idea. Okay. Yesterday, I put out yesterday I put out a short that was from the video that I did. So I did the long video. On the long video yesterday, there was one person that listened live. There was one person that listened on the replay. And by that, I mean, they listened and commented. Okay. They made comments, they gave likes, they shared it, those kind of things. There was one other person that I saw was on, but never said anything when I was on live. And that's not that uncommon either. And to be honest, that other person that didn't comment was my mom. Okay. Don't diss the fact that, your mom might be the only person on your live, because if there's one person on your live, that's your algorithm. Simultaneously to that, I then took and I put out a short video, and I put it as reel on Facebook and Instagram and on TikTok, and so it was on those. Oh, and I put it on LinkedIn as well. So the live on LinkedIn, the live on Facebook, they had, a couple of viewers and one or two comments. The short on Facebook, it was about 50 people that viewed it. On Instagram, it was about 35. And on TikTok, it was about, 150. Now you can look at that and you can be like, well, I didn't go viral. Or did I? I mean, what is impact? What are the numbers we're looking at? What if that number was 1? And what if that 1 was the same person on every single platform you're on? Let's go to what we were talking about yesterday about, doing a video, a short, picking up your phone, my phone, here it is, picking up your phone and saying, this is blah, 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 the prompt. And we'll give you one here at the end of the thing, like we always do. Picking up the phone, going live, 10, 30 seconds. I mean, I'd like to see you go live and just really practice your clarity and get out there. I can tell you that if you're online for about 20 or 30 minutes, it's at that point that you're going to start hitting different people's feeds enough that people are going to at least pop in for a second, and you start getting some of those kind of algorithmic things. But right now, let's just focus on that 5 or 10 seconds. And let's just say that you did a 10-second video and you put it on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. That's 6. Okay. 10 seconds on 6. You did it once. You did it live. I would suggest to do it live on Instagram and have the Instagram point it straight to Facebook. Download the video off of Instagram, put that onto YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. Okay, six places. Take you, if it takes you 10 seconds to do it, and 2 minutes for each of those, that would be, let's call that 20 minutes. Boom, you're on 6 platforms in 20 minutes. And let's say that statistically, you only have 1 view on each one of those. And let's go even further down the rabbit hole and say that the 1 view you had on all of those was one person who was looking at them on all the different platforms because they saw you did something and they brought it up and they looked at it again. And because it's 10 seconds, they heard the whole thing. And here's where we start getting into the statistics we should be looking at. And I'm sorry if I'm boring you with statistics. Sometimes my mind works in Excel spreadsheet. But here's the statistic we overlooked because we were busy looking at the 1. And that's the fact that, rather than somebody needs to hear your message 12 times before they take action with you, the marketing experts are now saying it needs to be about 40 times that they hear you. So that's 6, okay? 5, and you didn't see the thumb over here, 6, okay? That's 6 that they heard you, all right? So that means that you need to do that for an entire week, 7 days. Now 7 times 6 is 42. So you're going to be just short, slightly over the 40 mark. I would definitely shoot over and not under. You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely assuming that you took the time to, to invite them to, say, for example, like I do with mine, invite them to a free Facebook group and have them be a part of that group, to just come in and join. Sorry about that. So you're talking about that one person is the only person across all 6 of those platforms, and a whole week of them listening to everything you say every single day to get them to the place where they're statistically at the probability of finally joining your group. Okay? That's why I've been spending so much time being real with you about the fact that if you do this consistently live every single day, the reality is at the end of a month, your expectation should be to have 1 person. And I'm talking about the real one. Okay. So now we need to look at, and again, like I said, I'm not trying to bore you with statistics, but you need to understand the real, because you're potentially, especially if you're listening today, you may be in the same space I am, where you're looking at these Facebook statistics, these, download statistics. You're looking at your reach and you're comparing it to somebody else rather than comparing it to what's really real. And it's everybody else's comparison. It's that person who's like, yeah, and then my TikTok went viral and I had 1 million views. You know, the reality of it is that for every person who has a video that goes viral and does 1 million+ views, there are about 100 million videos that get less than 1 view. There is a lot of content out there these days. That's why it's raised to a person needs to hear your stuff 40 times before they're ever willing to take any action with you. Because over the course of a minute watching 10-second shorts, you're going to hear 6 different people give you 6 different pitches. That's overload. From a sales standpoint, from age old, I was a sales trainer at 19. That was 1986 for those of you that were counting. Okay. What we always told people is you can't give people too many options. 3 is the max. Once you get beyond 3, you have overwhelmed the person. They shut down and they don't decide anything. And now we have this internet world where people are getting bombarded with just all this stuff. Okay. Now, I went too deep into statistics, and I apologize because, your brain probably doesn't work that way. And if you're in that little bit of a I'm feeling less than stage, being told that, at the end of a month, you're probably going to be at 1, it can feel defeating. But I wanted to go deep on that because I wanted you to see how important that 1 is. And then I wanted you to get one other real reality. And then I'm going to move away completely from statistics the rest of the time we talk this morning or this nooning, since it's the noon hour here. And that's this. Statistically, over 90% of people that see something on the internet are completely consumers. That means they watch the video, they make no likes, no comments, nothing. And that's especially true if you're only doing shorts. If you're not doing long form video like what I'm showing you here, absolutely, you're probably going to be way over 90%. You're probably going to be at about 99%. Because, and if you don't believe me, go to YouTube, bring up shorts, and see how many of them you actually like and comment on, and how many YouTube shorts you can get through in the next hour. I wouldn't actually suggest you go down that YouTube rabbit hole. That'll just eat up the rest of your day. But think of how many. If they average 30 seconds and you do it for an hour, that's 120 videos you watched. And in most cases, we consume that content and leave no trace that we were there. Maybe the counter says somebody viewed it, and that's about the only trace we get of it. And that's assuming that the algorithm and the tracking is really working right. 90% are only viewers. 9% don't do anything more than hit a like button. So in other words, if you had 100 people view your thing, okay, let me back that up. If you have 10 people that view your video, then you're going to get 1 person hits the like button. So if you go back and you look at your statistics from 2 or 3 days ago when you went live, if you have 2 likes, that means that statistically, there were 20 people that watched your video. Just going from all of the different social medias, and I'm using their average statistics. Could have been more, could have been less. You could have been kind of a little more being a statistician today versus being the woo, sing me songs, Steve, that I was the other day, right? You need this information too, because this is what's going to take you from that place of I'm not loud enough, I'm not heard, I'm not seen, nobody knows me, I'm completely invisible, I'm doing nothing, I'm banging my head against the wall, this isn't working. After all, I tried it for an entire week and I got absolutely nothing out of it. I tried it for 2 weeks and I'm just worn out from going and doing these lives. You're going to have those feelings. Okay, that's the real. You're going to have times when you don't want to do it. That's the time you want to do it. That's the time you want to really dump yourself into it. It doesn't mean that you have to become this powerhouse, energetic, crazy person, the monkey clash of the cymbals together, or the Energizer bunny beating the drum. It just means you need to show up and you need to give. Because here's the coolest part about it. Your brain does not have the capability to be in true service and stress, fear, lack, failure, all of those kind of what we call the negative emotions. They're the opposite sides of your brain. You can't do both at the same time. It is a medical, biochemical, mental impossibility to do both of them with all your heart fully out. So if you're feeling the fear while you're trying to give, that means you're not giving full out. That's not me judging you. That's not me coming down on you. We all have those days. And sometimes you just got to keep talking. I mean, I don't know if you've noticed it in this video. I hope you stuck through with me. I hope you went through all the statistics and all the down, and you're seeing and watching Steve's energy from second 1 till Steve's energy now at 21 minutes and 42 seconds and feeling the difference. Because the more you give, the further you move away from that lack, fear, insecurity, loneliness, pain, sorrow, whatever of the quote unquote negative emotions that you're feeling. And the more that you pour into somebody else, the more that you align your spirit with the spirit of, I'm going to give, not because I have anything to give, but because I care about you. I care about the person that I'm meant to serve. And I'm coming on live today, not because I have anything left in my tank to give to you, but because you don't have anything in your tank either. And both of us can sit around the gas station all day complaining about our empty gas tanks. Or one of us can grab the nozzle and start putting gas into one of the cars. You see what I'm saying? Maybe you even can't fill yourself up. But you want to know what will fill you up? And I'm just going to use me. You want to know what will fill me up? Is when I get over myself and all the reals, all the realities, and I just pour into you. I just give all of the nothing I've got because I didn't really have anything to begin with. There's the harsh reality. None of us has anything. Everything that we've got is something that was given to us by God that is outside of our capability, that we're not worthy of, that we didn't earn, we didn't deserve, and is only as good as we give it away. You may know the cure for cancer, but how good is the cure for cancer going to do sitting in your brain? And for somebody that's stressed out because they don't know how to drink water. I'm saying that because I'm going to have a drink of water. They need the step-by-step on how to drink water. And if you know how to be able to pick up the bottle and drink water, and they struggle with that. I'll give you a perfect example. I'm not even just talking crap off the top of my head. My former mother-in-law, okay, my second wife's mother, she had, and my mom has a little bit of a little bit of memory issues, but nothing like what my former mother-in-law had. She was straight up mean dementia. Okay, I mean she was about 3 sheets to the wind, and not because she was drinking, okay? She was in a bad place. She would walk around all day with a bottle of water, and she would tell us about how much water she was drinking. And she would tell us about the food and how, and this is when she was still living by herself. She would tell us about all the food she had to eat that day and how, oh my gosh, it was almost too much. I ate too much. Until she would get so dehydrated, so malnourished, that she'd have to go into the hospital again. And they'd have to put her immediately on an IV and, and pump the stuff into her that they do at the hospital to get her back to a place of stable wellness, that when we eat regularly and we drink regularly, I'm talking about nutrition, not just, pumping down 1,000 candy bars and drinking Coke, but, taking care of yourself. That last piece was pointing to me and, me learning nutrition. Okay. It was that kind of a situation. And she thought she was drinking, drinking water. She had the bottle with her everywhere she went, and it would go like, you can see my water bottle, it's right about here right now. And if I drink a drink, it's going to go down there, and it would go down little bits, but it would be the same bottle. And worse than that, it wasn't a bottle, it was a refillable cup, and every so often it would get down a little bit and she would refill it. And in her mind, she was drinking tons of cups of water a day. And really she was drinking a couple of sips and then topping it off again all day long, and drinking probably, according to the doctor, about 8 ounces of water a day. I can tell you from experience, when I started a year ago on my living healthy journey, I was at 22% hydration. A human male is supposed to be at 65%. That means I was walking dehydration. Okay. That means there were raisins and prunes that were laughing at how dehydrated I was. Okay. Dehydrated fruit sitting on a counter that was talking about how they were glad they were more well hydrated than I was. All right. But as I've learned hydration, I tell people about the things that I've known with that. And it may be that simple, because it's in the giving that we move forward. It's only in the giving of it that it's good for anybody else. If I know how to drink, on average 150 to 160 ounces of water every day, and you're dehydrated and I don't share it with you, who does it do any good? What difference does it make? What is the point of us having the stuff that we have, being the person that we are, making the difference in this world that only we can make, when we're not sharing it? See, that's why I come on live every day, to tell you, clear. You got to have a clear message. You got to know clearly what you're going to say. Who are you and what do you do? I'm here to help you be visible. I'm showing you in real time every single day. This is visibility. Visibility isn't about having 1 billion people. Okay, I mean, it's cool. I've been in front of audiences of tens of thousands of people. And there is an amazingly awesome feeling when you're on a stage leading a group, or better yet, when the whole group behind you is quiet and you're speaking the words that were given to you to say. Whether you're an actor and you're acting out a part, or even more so when you're on stage and you're just giving your personal testimony and you're just sharing from your heart. It's an amazing thing. I don't want to take that from you. But do you know where that started? I'm giving you the real of my life. I'm giving you the behind the scenes Steve Kidd, who has traveled the world and spoke in front of groups of one and groups of, I think the group was probably about 25 to 50,000 in Rotterdam, Rotterdam, Holland. Okay. I don't even know the numbers anymore. It was summer of 1985. It was a long time ago. But I didn't get to the point where out of all the kids, there was probably 150 of us on stage there. Out of all the kids on that stage, that I was one of 3 people that was chosen to speak because I had shown that I had the ability to do that. I wanted to be the guy that was singing the solo, and I didn't end up getting that particular summer any of the solos because that wasn't my place. That wasn't my point. That wasn't my purpose. God wanted to show me that me speaking the things that I had spent. But all of those, where I learned how to speak that way? Why I can do my radio show, do these lives, do those kind of things? Because I spent hours in the parking lot by myself, preaching, teaching, sharing, talking to the birds. In my mind, I was singing and praising and preaching and teaching and talking in front of zillions of people, telling it to the whole world. And there was nobody there. And if you had seen me, I would have looked totally crazy. And we're talking going way back to when I was like 6, 7, 8, and then especially in middle school and high school. My 2 brothers are older than me. One's 5 and a half and the other 7 years older than me. They were way older than me. And, and then they were also out of the house by the time I was in middle school. So it was just me. My parents had a very tumultuous relationship, so it was just me. The only person I had was me and Jesus. And I went out and I shared the only thing that I knew. And my dad said it in the last interview I got to do with him before he passed. Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible says me so. That's it. And so, when I was in Rotterdam, they called on me. They said, Steve, we want you to be one of the ones because we know what you're going to give these kids is going to be awesome. I did it again in someplace in central Indiana on that same tour that same summer. And that was another culmination where we had 5 or 6 of the continental tour groups that came together in one spot. And it was in front of this giant group of high school kids in a big auditorium. It wasn't like Rotterdam. It wasn't this great big giant stadium. It was a big high school auditorium. That came from the practicing it in front of the one. That came because going live is going live. It's not about the masses. It's about the mission. It's about the message. That's why clarity is powerful. Perfection isn't powerful. In fact, perfection is the enemy of the good. Clarity is powerful. And the way to get clear, the way to really know yourself is to just keep saying stuff and see what resonates. To just keep working on it. You're going to get better at it. But if you get 1 like today, that means you reached 10 people today. If you get 1 comment today, because only 1% of the people are the ones that comment it. So it was 90% don't say anything, 9% only hit the like button, and 1% makes a comment. That means that if you get 1 comment, you really, in reality, statistically, there I go, giving you statistics again, you reached 100 people. What does that mean if you had 10 comments? I mean, what does that really mean? See, that's what I'm saying. Those back-end statistics are messing with your brain, and we're all up in our head because we're looking at our bank account rather than realizing that the real value, the real purpose, the real money, the real stuff, the things that are really important. And that's not me saying that you don't have a stack of bills that you're praying over and you're believing are already paid. I'm not diminishing any of that for you. But the real benefit, the real stuff, is just simply in you clearly sharing who you are and what you know right now today. You could be like my granddaughter was when she was 8, And you can have the only thing in the world you know is that you have a best friend and you're just so glad you met her. And that would be your story. And that would be your story to change the world. Just that one thing. You may only know how to pick up the water bottle and drink it. It's not the what, it's saying it clearly. It's saying it consistently because you want to connect. All three of those, they're not separable. They're not like, first be clear, then be consistent, then connect. It's not that, it's this. Clear, consistent connection. Constant, clear, concise, consistent connection. Get on a live, turn it on, and just start talking and swim your way through it. There's an old concept of teaching children to swim by just throwing them in the water. Now, they may not swim, the way your swimming coach is going to teach you. My youngest son used to literally say, I don't like swimming at the top. I like to swim in the middle. He swam like a little wiggle inchworm, but he got through the water. Quite frankly, when the kids got into swimming lessons, his older brother, who would never let go of the side of the water, became a better technical swimmer than him. Yes, consistency compounds and multiplies. You see, when you do this live and then you do another one tomorrow, that has a little bit of effect. When you do it consistently for a week, that has even more of a compound effect. When you do it for a month, it has even that much. You see, it's not like 1 times 1, or 1 plus 1. And then, so when you get at the end of the 30, you're at 30. It's more like exponential growth and going. That's why at the end of 30 days, you may only have 1 person following you. And at the end of 60, you may only be at like 3 to 5. And then boom, at the end of 90, all of a sudden in that last couple of days, you find yourself having 20, 30, 40, 50 people on. And if you do it consistently for a year, you can be like my friend Willie J, who's on here now, who has 180,000 people following him on Instagram. Those people didn't just follow him yesterday. Willie didn't wake up this morning and go, you know what? I'm a professional musician, and I bet you if I put a song out that 180,000 people would follow me right now today. He put it out there. He gave and gave and gave. I love the song you did, Willie, the We Love You Puerto Rico. The middle of the pandemic, the world was ending. That's what they kept telling us on TV. And your thought was this. There was just this horrible hurricane that hit Puerto Rico, and nobody's thinking about it because everybody's locked down in their own worlds. I'm going to raise money for the people in Puerto Rico, and I'm going to let them know you're not alone, and we think and we love about you. Willie didn't make $1 gazillion on that. He got some followers from that. He did some amazing things for the place in Puerto Rico. It was the clear messaging. This is who I really am. I'm a person who's here in the world to change the world. Consistently going out. We Love You Puerto Rico wasn't Willie's a professional musician, so he went into the studio one afternoon, popped off a song, no problem. I got this. Took me about 10 minutes and boom, I was done. Go ahead, Willie. You could comment. You could tell us. It was a little bit more of an effort than that. And then he didn't just throw it out on social media and, make one post and then poof. All that came from it was just, instant success. You want to go bigger than that? Beyonce dropped a single, and this was, oh my gosh, this was almost probably 10 years ago. She dropped a single on, don't quote me on this, but I want to say Spotify. That single, in colloquialism, broke the internet. She sold 1 million copies of that single in 24 hours. But she didn't start there. Destiny's Child was an up-and-coming group way before they were on Ed McMahon's show. They were supposed to be the winners of that show. That's what everybody was telling the girls that were part of Destiny's Child, including Beyonce. They went out in the first round, kicked off the show, done, devastated. Their careers in their minds were ended. And at that point, Beyonce, her sister, and her cousin were, give or take, 18 years old. They were young ladies. They might have only been 16 actually then. I'd have to go back and honestly ask their dad to know for sure. They were standing at the end of the hallway, bawling their heads out. And her dad, Matthew Knowles, was standing at the end of the hallway, just totally not knowing what to do. It's not a thing that dads necessarily totally know how to really comfort their daughters. And Ed McMahon walked by and he said to Ed McMahon, this Matthew said to Ed McMahon, "What do I do?" And he said, "You let them cry." He said, "You let them pour their hearts out right now and feel completely broken." He said, "And then tomorrow you come to them with a message that this isn't a failure. This isn't a tombstone, it's a stepping stone." And I don't know that Ed McMahon used those specific words. But he said, here's what, Ed did tell him this. He goes, "Here's what I know. There's never been a person that's won Star Search that's ever really done much of anything. But there are some people that lost that have amazing careers now." Matthew Knowles, who was the leading salespeople for the Xerox company, African-American man from Texas, was the #1 sales rep for Xerox. I'm talking copy machines, okay? He quit his job, went back to school, got a master's degree in music entertainment management, took his daughter and his daughters and his niece under his wing and built an empire for them, kept them practicing, kept them focused, kept them working. And boom, out came Destiny's Child. And from Destiny's Child, then we got Beyonce. Beyonce, then years later, I'm talking like, what was it? 15 or 20 years later, she dropped a single and sold 1 million copies of the album because she had been on Oprah like 10 times before she had that kind of a following. You see, consistency compounds and multiplies. Clear messaging, consistency with the intention of connecting to people. I know I've gone on and on and on, mostly because I'm bringing myself to life to pour into you. Because I could have easily given up today, and I'm not going to. And I'm going to stay here and just keep pushing and just keep giving you these stories. And I'm going to show up again tomorrow. And it doesn't matter how many zeros are in my bank account. It doesn't matter if the whole world, the internet, comes rushing to want to work with me. It doesn't matter if this video goes viral in the tens of millions, or the 2 people that are on here live are the only people that ever see it. Because both of you are important. And because if you're watching this on the replay, and it's 10 years from when I did this live, if you're listening to this on some kind of video capsule 1,000 years in the future, and you just happen to get this, and you only hear just this little piece because that's all of the recording that lived, you need to know somebody's waiting on you. And the only way that we can move out of our muck and our yuck and our ick is to step out, step up to clearly and consistently, intentionally connect. Reach out to the person who's reaching out to you and allow the results to be in God's hands. We're all control freaks, really. We want the whole world to come flooding to us right now because we jumped on the internet and went live for 5 seconds. We picked up our phone and followed this simple prompt. Here's your prompt in case you were waiting for it. Here's your prompt. I feel a little less than today, but I'm here to help you. How can I help you today? That's your prompt. And maybe you're not feeling less than. Maybe you're feeling pumped and positive. I'm feeling pumped and positive today. How can I help you today? I'm kind of so-so, but I'm here. I want to know, how can I help you today? That's your prompt. How can I help you today? More to that to come, because I'm going to drop that book next week, and I'm going to give it to you all week next week for free. Because we're going to radically shift the world, and we're going to move to an economy that's based on giving and not on greed. And it's happening. Oh yeah, it's being fought hardcore, but it's happening anyway. And I challenge you to be one of the givers and not one of the what the heck happeneders. You got this. Clarity is powerful. Clear, consistent connection. It's what you need. You need it today. You need to do it no matter how you're feeling, no matter where you're at, no matter how low you are. Because I promise you, if you pour yourself into giving, the more you pour yourself in, the harder you give, the more and more impossible to be stuck in your own stuff it'll be. And then after you're done giving and you're in a good spot, don't go back to the muck and the mire. Do something nice for you. As simple as drinking a glass of water, go out and feel the bright sunlight on your face. Go for a walk. Go for a dip in the pool. I'm taking my mom to the pool later this afternoon. She's excited about it. That's all that really matters, really. But give while it's called today. Zaraz is now, and you are the light. The Zaraz here to change the world. But it can only happen when you jump out there and you actually do it. So do it. Okay? Be fully unapologetically exactly where you are, but be you and make the difference that only you can make. And on behalf of God and the whole of the universe, thank you for doing it, because we need you a whole lot. Until we're together again next time, which will be tomorrow, by the way, in case you're wondering. I hope you have a great week.